Welcome back, folks. I'm Fred McMurray with everyone's favorite Ray Pillar on Pillar's Principles. We're going to be continuing our study of starting a business. Last segment, if everyone remembers, we discussed why do I want to go into business? So today, the question is, do I need a business plan? And what should it include, or what do I need in place of a business plan? So, Ray, thanks for being back from driving the nuclear-powered bus across the universe. Do I need a business plan while I'm starting a business?
Well, I believe that if you are looking for funding, you will need a business plan. You'll be requested to have a business plan. With that being said, maybe not everyone's going to ask you for a business plan. And if that's the case, you should at least have one in your head. If you're not thinking about how your business is going to be run today, tomorrow, next week, next 6 months, next year, then you're doomed to fail if you're not thinking about it.
Okay, and that's fair enough. Before we run down that path, you said something interesting. If you're going to get funding, so when you say, are we talking, I'm assuming we're talking about something like loans from banks or
Yes.
venture capital investment. And you're not talking about, some people go out to friends and family for loans. So I guess I'm assuming most friends or family aren't going to want a business plan,
Right. Right.
formal one, but a venture capital person or a bank may want one. And
Yes.
obviously, knowing where you're going to go is a good thing. This business plan, you said you have to have at least one in your head.
Yes. Absolutely.
So you're not necessarily a huge fan of a written business plan. Uh, so my question would be, when would a written, besides funding, for what types of business would a written business plan be useful?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to look at it maybe from a slightly opposite viewpoint, where it could be, if you're the type of person who wants a business plan, regardless of needing one, you may be the type of person who wants to follow it religiously without making any changes in it. And that could be detrimental. In other words, as time moves on, your business will change. Prime example, when I started my business, the only way to really do any good advertising or marketing was in the phone book. So you spent thousands and thousands of dollars on a half page, full page in the phone book. Now, most people, if they get a phone book, they use it to prop the door open. They don't go through it because it's so much easier to use Google. You know, so now where's your money being spent? And if you're still spending it on yellow pages, well,
I'm not sure there are yellow pages anymore. I mean, I also know I can't seem to ever reverse look up some of these spam calls I get. All right, so back to the business plan. Um, I'm assuming there's a differential between a service-based industry and a product-based industry. So I'm assuming a written plan would be more apropos for somebody that's developing manufacturing products, things like that. Because
I
there,
would think so, yes.
because then you've got things like or material sourcing.
Yes.
All right.
Mm.
So if we're putting a business plan together either in our head or on writing, what's what are some of the things we need to cover in that business plan?
Well, I think probably the first thing is marketing, and who is your market,
Okay.
and are you able to easily determine what your market is, and somehow or another make sure you can focus your marketing on that market.
Okay, so that's to me, that's a question I always run into in the marketing area, which is who is your primary audience? And to me, I think that's one of the questions most people blow up on because you, I've asked many, many times in speeches or presentations I've given, who is your, how many of you would say everyone can use your product? And 90% of the people raise their hand. And
Mhm.
then I asked, if it's $10 a lead, how many of you have $78 billion? And no one's ever raised their hand. I keep telling people when somebody does, please send them to me. So one of the things I find people blow up on most is the whole who is my audience, uh my so when you're trying to define an audience, what are some of the things you should look at?
Well, who needs your product? If
Okay.
you're selling a product or a service, who needs that? And although I don't think I ever gave it a lot of thought, because it was probably natural for me to think who would my audience would be, and it's probably a working family who has a certain amount of income, and they're busy raising their children and going to work, and they don't have time to clean their house. So
That's another thing though, right there. What you just said at the end was clean their house. So it's homeowners primarily.
yes,
So for you, it's homeowners who are busy, most likely would have kids, not necessarily have kids, but
right,
see homeowners. All
yeah.
right. So, um, do you see that or find that most people try to market too wide?
Well, here again, that's you need to focus your marketing to your audience, but should be no reason why you shouldn't widen it to others, because like in my case, seniors, why wouldn't I want to market? That'd probably be my secondary market. Why wouldn't I want to market to them? Uh, they don't want to clean their house. They just want to visit with their neighbors and watch TV. I'm assuming, I don't know, or do what I do, and that's travel.
And around, so you don't need the house. I mean, seriously, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
And I get that, but even with seniors, we're still primarily talking about senior homeowners.
yes.
So for you, that filter is homeowner. A homeowner is most likely the buy or the user of your service.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's also the difference between inbound and outbound marketing. Somebody calls you, you're not going to say no, but yet if you're trying to put a message in front of somebody, you want that message, as you said, when used to go the yellow pages. Now it's Google, it's Facebook, it's so on and so forth there. So
Hmm.
when you're using those, you're targeting that market as tightly as possible so you get the best response for your buck, your market.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
All
And
right.
you hire experts in those areas as well. Now, I don't know who that would be.
He's talking about Westvyne, folks. That's who he went with. Yeah. Just so you understand his chuckle. All right. So we've talked about who the target audience. So knowing in that business plan in your head, knowing your target audience is critical to success. All right. So another thing you've talked about before is competition. Once you know your target market,
Hmm.
you need to understand your competition, correct?
Um, Possibly, yes. You should have an idea of what they're targeting as well. Yes.
So in your case, how did you find out about your competition?
You can ask. You can ask a client. So probably that's one of the easiest ways is to, as we go out and do in-home estimates, as an example, we may ask why, or they may volunteer that they were with ABC company before, and what did you think about them? You know, how about their pricing and things like that? We may ask them some questions, and of course, we can also call them and ask them, you know, what their pricing is, when can they get out, and we can also look at reviews on other companies that's available online.
All right. So if I understand what you're saying, right, if you're just starting out, you can't go out and ask your customers until you got that first one.
Right.
But even if you don't have that first customer, you can go out and look at things like Yelp for your industry, or some of the other online, even Google reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Or you can hire that company.
Ooh, that's kind of sneaky. That's a guerrilla
Well,
market.
I wouldn't call that sneaky. I mean, if you need service, it's a good way to find out, you know, things about not only that company, but that particular service in general.
Ooh, that's sneaky. I like that.
That's not sneaky.
Hiring your competition to subvert them. Ultimately, yeah, yeah, I like that, dude. Taught me something today. All right. What else do you want to talk about? What else advice do you have about competition? Understanding
Uh, well, we talked about the competition. You should have a pretty general idea about your competition and what they offer and what you can do better as far as what they offer. So one of the questions I used to hate getting asked by a potential client was, why should I hire you over ABC or whatever company? And at the time, I probably didn't know a good answer. I do now, you know, but you should have that at the tip of your tongue if someone asks you that question. Why you and not someone else?
because I'm not going to sell you Twitter. So what we're talking about here, since you've actually started to go into the third question, is what you're saying is you need to know what your unique selling proposition is.
Yes.
Why people should buy from you, other than the fact that you got a nice smile and a
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What makes you different? What makes you a step above someone other company?
all right. So I'm gonna hit you low here. So somebody asks you that now. You're out on and you're going out to the local chamber event, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody says, "Well, why should I hire you?" What's your answer now?
Okay. Of course, it depends on who their previous company was, but let's just say it's someone down the street, their neighbor. And I would simply say, do you like your home? Would you want to keep it? So if your neighbor falls down the stairs, who's going to own your home?
Okay.
That's one of the things. And if let's say it's a larger company that they previously had, I'd say, we answer the phone. We will talk to you. You're not going to be put on hold. And we will deal with any situations that you have with our company.
Awesome. At that point, I can't come up with any better way to end this segment of Pillars Principles. Any last words of wisdom, my friend? Give us
Believe
something
in
great.
yourself. Believe in yourself.
Very, very good. Folks, been in small business myself since about 2005. And if you don't believe in yourself, don't go into small business.
That's right.
Because it's not for the weak of heart.
Definitely.
We'll be back next week, folks, with more Pillars Principles and how to be successful in business.